Welcome to the first episode of Wild and Paranormal, West Virginia, where we discuss all the bizarre paranormal tales coming out of this part of Appalachia. I figured we should kick this off with the most infamous West Virginia cryptid, the Mothman. The sightings began in November of 1966, and over the course of the next year, about 100 people claimed to have seen this creature. It was described as being a massive bird with huge angelic wings, humanoid legs, and two big glowing red eyes. Some people claimed that its eyes were hypnotic. People claimed it was like nothing they'd ever seen or like anything they could even imagine. It scared the wits out of the people of Point Pleasant. This strange tale truly goes deep, and the deeper you go, the more characters are revealed. Some people reported sightings of unidentifiable craft, others of bizarre lights floating in the sky, and secret government agents known as the Men in Black there to harass the witnesses into silence. There's also stories of secret government genetic engineering programs as well as MK Ultra style mind control experiments. The first reported sighting came on November 15th in 1966 when four teenagers were out exploring the back roads of what was a decommissioned World War II base known as the TNT area. On this night, their lives would change forever.
It's a chilly November night in 1966. Two couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry, along with Steve and Mary Mallett, are packed into an old 57 Chevy, cruising through the desolate backroads of what is now the McClintock Wildlife Management Area. Roger, behind the wheel, takes full advantage of the empty stretch, pushing the Chevy's engine to impress his passengers.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Watch for deer!
Mary warns from the back seat, her voice carrying a hint of caution. But Linda suddenly stiffens.
What is that?
All four of them strain to see what the headlights are revealing. A towering, shadowy figure stands motionless on the road ahead. The creature is massive, 6 or 7 feet tall, with an enormous wingspan stretching nearly 10 feet. Its glowing red eyes, unblinking and menacing. The creature abruptly bolts, vanishing into the woods with startling speed. Roger, wide-eyed and shaken, slams his foot on the gas. The Chevy roars to life as they speed away.
What was that?
I don't know, but let's get out of here now!
Roger barrels down the road, gripping the wheel with white-knuckled intensity as the Chevy hurtles onto Highway 62.
It's right behind us!
Linda suddenly screams. Roger glances in the rearview mirror and his stomach drops. The creature is back, its massive wings slicing through the night air as it follows them.
Go, go, go!
Steve shouts. Roger slams the accelerator to the floor, the engine roaring as the speedometer climbs past 100 miles per hour.
It's catching us!
Mary cries, her voice rising in panic.
Shut up! Just shut up!
Roger shouts. In the back seat, Mary begins to sob uncontrollably.
It's going to kill us!
And then, as suddenly as it appeared, the creature veers upward. Its massive wings propel it high into the night sky until it vanishes into the black void above. The four traumatized friends keep speeding all the way to town to report what they had just witnessed. This would not be the last time the residents of Point Pleasant were terrorized by this now infamous otherworldly monster.
Pretty spooky. One thing I didn't want to leave out of this story is when the teenagers were booking it away from the Mothman to get to town, they noticed a large dead dog on the side of the road. So they get to town, they go to this restaurant called Dairyland to sit there and discuss what they're going to do, just scared out of their minds. They decide they don't want to tell the police because they don't think anyone will believe them. But they also know they have to go back that same direction to get back home. So now they're driving back home and they get to the part of the road where the dead dog was and they notice it's not there. As soon as they notice this, they see the creature again appearing out of the bushes. It darts across the road, over their car, and through a field on the other side of the road. At this point, they're like, this thing could hurt someone. We really have to tell the police. So that's what they do. They go to the police to file a report. After the story broke, others came forward saying that they had seen the creature or they'd seen other unexplainable lights in the sky. One man said his dog disappeared after running towards the lights. Could this be the same dog that was on the side of the road? Was Mothman a dog eater? It didn't take long for these wild stories to get noticed by the national and then international press. Eventually, the National Guard had to come to Point Pleasant to manage the droves of journalists and thrill seekers that were trying to explore the TNT area in hopes of seeing the Mothman for themselves. The otherwise sleepy town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia became a zoo crawling with journalists and travelers trying to get any information they could about the Mothman. Unfortunately, the eyewitnesses felt ridiculed. Some say that it ruined relationships with their family members, and some say it ruined their lives. Journalists, thrill seekers, and the National Guard were not the only new faces to Point Pleasant. Eyewitnesses and locals reported encounters with strange men dressed in black suits who seemed intent on gathering any information that they could and silencing the eyewitnesses. These men allegedly demanded that the locals remain silent about their experiences. They would also reveal private details about the eyewitnesses in order to scare them into the silence. The men were described as having unnaturally pale, almost translucent skin, and unsettling strange eyes often obscured by dark sunglasses. Their mannerisms were awkward, and their voices seemed a bit off, further adding to their eerie impressions. Some of the witnesses said the men in black did not seem human. They seemed kind of alien, as if they were trying to pose as human beings. Almost 100 other sightings were reported through the next year in Point Pleasant, leaving the locals extremely paranoid. Many locals would not go to work or would not send their kids to school out of fear of them having an encounter with the Mothman. Tragically, the hysteria surrounding Point Pleasant came to an abrupt halt on December 15, 1967, when the Silver Bridge collapsed during rush hour, sending vehicles into the Ohio River and claiming 46 lives. In the aftermath, some witnesses claimed that they saw a Mothman above the bridge before it fell. This led many people to believe that the Mothman was there to warn the people of Point Pleasant about the impending tragedy. Now, there have been reported Mothman sightings since then, but the media hype died when the bridge collapsed. The most recent Mothman sighting was in Chicago just this last summer of 2024. The last reported sighting of Mothman in Point Pleasant was in November of 2016. Many people believe that Mothman has always lived there in the forest of the Ohio Valley. Then, since its home appeared to be the site of the old World War II base, there are also theories that the Mothman was genetically engineered by our government, or that the government was conducting mind control experiments on the residents of Point Pleasant. Or perhaps Mothman was a result of the harmful chemicals that were dumped on site at the base. What do you think? Will we ever know the truth? Was this some kind of hoax that turned into a cultural phenomenon? Or was this just a case of mass mistaken identity? A professor from WVU suggested that what these people were seeing was a large sandhill crane. Other people thought maybe they were seeing a large owl, but the eyewitnesses were insulted by these explanations. I grew up about 40 miles away from where this all took place. I had heard of Mothman, I think when I was in high school, but I never really looked into it much. It wasn't until recently that I went with my family, with my wife, kids, and mother-in-law. We went to the Mothman Museum in Point Pleasant. And what really got me was reading their handwritten eyewitness testimonies. Reading their words, I felt like these people really saw something. Their fear was communicated authentically. I ended up buying this book in the gift shop called Mothman Behind Red Eyes by Jeff Wamsley. This book is a compilation of the transcribed eyewitness testimonies as well as the newspaper clippings. I highly recommend this book if you're like me and you just want to see how this story unfolded rather than, hearing different people's opinions on what may have happened. Outside of the Mothman Museum, right there in the middle of the town, you'll see the sculpture by Rob Roach. We decided since we were in the area that we should find the location where the Mothman sightings first took place. So we took a drive out there to the T&T area and explored the back roads there. This road here is the actual road they were driving down as they were getting chased by the Mothman. So a couple of months ago, I was traveling with my family to check out Hawk's Nest in Fayetteville County. And we checked out the views in the mountains, and then we went in to explore the gift shop. My mother-in-law made a joke about being disappointed that we didn't see Mothman out there when the cashier chimed in and said that she saw Mothman there 8 years ago. She claimed she was hiking the trails around Hawk's Nest when she ran around a corner and saw this huge bird-like creature perched up on a rock. She said she was too scared to say anything or to move, but after only a few moments, the Mothman shot straight up in the sky and flew away. Do you believe her? How many of these Mothman do you think there are? Is there only one, or are there many? Perhaps they are all over the world. I mean, what a bizarre story. How could all these people, over 100 people, be lying? I can't wrap my head around these stories, really. It's truly bizarre, especially the just sheer number of eyewitnesses. You know, maybe all these people are lying, maybe most of them are lying, but I don't think all of them were lying. And especially after reading the handwritten testimonies, I really felt like, you know, particularly those, I'm like, these people really saw something, because they were scared out of their minds, and they communicated this well. All right, that concludes the first episode. Thanks for joining us. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Do you believe in the Mothman? Do you think he's still alive? Do you think he's still in Point Pleasant? Or are there many Mothmen all over the world? Are they here to warn us about impending doom? Let me know your thoughts. Till next time.